Now, South Western Railway is going to become the first train operator to be renationalised under plans to reform Britain's railways.
The government says it will put passengers back at the heart of services after 30 years of privatisation, despite Labour facing accusations of rushing through the new legislation. We're joined now by the new Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander. Congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
I was reading your piece in the Mirror today. Our broken railways are finally on the fast track to repair. You're going to clamp down on unacceptable levels of delays, cancellations and waste. I would say in the last 50 years, the experience in Britain of nationalisation is that it's turned out to be more expensive, led to more waste and more inefficiency. Why is it going to be different this time round with the railways?
Well, what we'll be doing next year is taking South Western, C2C and Greater Anglia into public ownership. There are some train operating companies that are already in public ownership for different reasons. One of those is South Eastern. We've seen quite a lot of improvement there since that's come into public ownership with punctuality improving. It's now in the top 5 of train operating companies. On LNER as well, they have reduced to 0 pretty much the cancellation of train services which happen due to staff shortages, and they've got their cancellation level right down to 5%. So we do have a proven track record when some of these operators come over of being able to improve performance so that reliability and punctuality goes up.
Just to interrupt, to just counter that point, data collected by the Financial Times shows that the nationalised railways actually have totally average rates of cancellations and delays, and that passenger surveys show little difference between nationalised and privatised railways. When it comes to customer satisfaction, it's not all as rosy as the picture you're painting.
Yeah, so Susanna, there's 2 different things there in terms of the data, aren't there? Because there can be a trajectory of improvement, which if you're somebody stood on a platform waiting for a South Eastern train, the fact that your train is turning up on time more often than it did previously, that's going to be an improvement to your life. I recognise there's still more to go and more to do, but the complexities of running rail services in different parts of the country, the interaction with freight trains, the amount of congestion on the network is very different in different places, but we're very clear that what this will enable us to do is get the right leadership in place, have the focus on the passenger, as opposed to the train operating company, thinking about its owning group, thinking about returning dividends to shareholders. It's about a laser-like focus on the passenger, and so I think that's really what the direction that we'll be giving to the DfT operator.
So if there are delays and cancellations and problems on the line in a year's time in the southwest, they'll be blaming you, not the private companies.
So I will be held accountable, for the performance of the railways, but I'm not going to be running the railways directly. Right. There will be the DfT operator in place, and in the longer term, once we have transitioned all of the 10 train operating companies, what we're also doing is working in parallel on setting up Great British Railways, and this will be a publicly owned organisation that brings together the management of the train services and the management of the track and infrastructure, because at the moment there isn't enough join up between those 2 parts of the railway system, and so we need overarching direction, and that will come through Great British Railways. Let
me ask you something that you are directly accountable for. Free TV licences were removed under the last government from all pensioners. In the July statement, Rachel Reeves removed the winter fuel allowance from all pensioners, but there is still something which is available for all pensioners, which is free bus travel for people aged over 60. And when your predecessor, Louise Haigh, was on our programme a couple of months ago, we asked her whether she would guarantee to keep free bus travel for over 60-year-olds, and we'll just play to you what she said.
Sometimes you hear, we have no plans, that's not on the table, we're going to wait for an announcement. We've heard all of those phrases through this interview. But you can confirm this morning to our viewers that pensioners will hang on to their free bus pass.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Throughout this Parliament?
Well, look, I can't confirm that I'll be Transport Secretary throughout this Parliament, so I don't think that's fair to hang around me.
So just
but
while
I can
you are
confirm to you
Transport
that I will protect the concessionary bus travel.
Of course, Louise Hay couldn't bind your hands, Heidi Alexander, and it turned out she was the Transport Secretary for rather less time than she was hoping for when she gave that answer. But can you agree with her that while you're Transport Secretary, free bus travel for over 60s will remain?
So I don't know the point in time when Lou was being asked that question, and if she was being asked it in advance of the budget, then obviously she would have had discussions, in advance of that, and she gave a very clear answer, which was yes, that the concessionary bus fare was going to be protected, and of course it was protected in the budget. I do have to pull you up on something, Ed, actually. You said that we removed winter fuel allowance for all pensioners, and of course we didn't. Those on pension credit can still get it, and of course what we also did
but we've explained that multiple times throughout our coverage of the winter fuel allowance.
The point I was making was there was free TV licences for all pensioners. There was a winter allowance for all pensioners. Both of those are now not for all pensioners, only for some pensioners. But in the case of free bus, it is for all pensioners. So while you are the Transport Secretary, there's going to continue to be free bus travel for all pensioners.
Look, I would be very, very wary about touching the English concessionary bus pass scheme, because I know what a lifeline it is for people in older age in terms of tackling isolation, being able to get out and about, especially when people get a bit older. You know, they might be worried about driving if they're fortunate enough to have a car. And, you know, I think all of these questions around means testing as well often come back to questions about how much it actually costs to put in a process to do the means testing. And so I think there are very significant social benefits to the concessionary fares scheme for older people and enabling them to use their buses. Okay. And the truth of the matter is,
very wary means you're not going to take it away.
So I have no plans. I have absolutely no plans to take the bus pass from older people away.
OK, so it's not going to be taken away as long as you're Transport Secretary or for the duration of this Parliament?
So, you know, look, in terms of the way in which we set budgets, I can't foresee everything that will happen in the coming years.
Okay. So you can't
it is
promise,
true to say,
you?
look, what I'm hesitant to do, if I'm honest, Susanna and Ed, is make promises that I don't actually know at this point in time whether I could keep them, because I don't know what the fiscal situation will be next year, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. Yeah. Okay. And so, I'm absolutely clear that we have no plans to remove the bus pass for older people. Okay. I cannot say that more clearly to you. Yeah. But what I'm not going to do is pretend that I'm sat here with a crystal ball and I can gaze into it and tell you exactly what the state of the public finance is going to be in 3-4 years' time.
Although under your government and your manifesto and your milestones, there's supposed to be huge growth in the economy. So presumably you'd be keeping your fingers crossed and hoping for that. Heidi Alexander, thank you very much indeed.